All right. How's everybody doing?
Hey, Joe, who cut your hair?
Nobody. That's just a lot of product.
Oh, all right. I just sent you a message.
Did you?
Yeah, I just did one in group chat.
I'll take a look. Good questions. So this class today is, we're going to focus more on the command side than the DocuSign side, but we will, if we get through all the command stuff, we will handle those other questions. So that's a great question. She wants to know if we can import docs from .loop into DocuSign, and can we upload them from email? So yes, there's a yes and no, depending. That's multiple questions. So we'll tackle each of those individually. So let me just get my screen share on. And let's get going. Share screen, share command, there we go. All right, so if you guys in chat could also just say on a scale of 1 to 10, how familiar you are with documents in command. And I don't mean DocuSign, although if you're familiar with that, that works too. 1 being you don't know how to use it at all, and 10 being you could teach this class and I'm gonna step away and let you do it, so.
I know where the documents site is. Does that
Okay.
count as 1?
You can put 2. Randy, 0 is not an option.
A little COVID humor, you know.
Yeah. All right, good. So a lot of 1s. 5 from Alice, excellent, thank you. All right, so let's jump in here. So here we are in the command dashboard. Yours may look a little different than mine based on what you have filled out, what you have turned on. But from there, we're actually gonna go over to the side here. Now, if you, I say this all the time just so everybody knows, you can hover over to see what these little applets are. So if you see I hover over the opportunities, it shows that. If you ever just want to see what they're all called, if you click on the KW, it actually opens up a tray and shows you the name of all the applets. So if you're in a rush and you don't remember where you're going, if you click on that KW, it will open up and tell you what everything is. So do you guys see that? See my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So we're going to click on the opportunities applet. And we'll create an opportunity just to walk you guys through this. But as you can see here, as you fill it up, you have your cultivates, your appointments, actives, under contract, close. So just a quick, Barbara, since we're here, if you have opportunities currently in .loop, you can import them using this import button. So it's a 1-by-1 thing. Now that doesn't import into DocuSign, but it does pull, or it should pull, everything from .loop into an opportunity here. It pulls them into an opportunity.
Where does it go?
That's a great question.
Do I have to import the whole transaction, or can I do 1 document at a time?
So it should pull all the documents in. I would start with 1 transaction and see how it works. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull it into this legacy field. So that's just pulling it into this. So just, so be aware of that. If it doesn't work, it can be a little quirky. I would recommend not doing it and just pulling them in one-off then, but it's up to you. Give it a shot with 1. If the process doesn't make sense to you, I would just download it from .loop and upload it again into opportunities. And we'll show you how to do that here.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to go back again. I'm going to click on opportunities, and we're going to click create an opportunity. And that's the big blue button up here called create opportunity. So I'm going to click on that, and now it's going to give us some options. So your market center should automatically be picked. And if you're on a team, it should automatically be picked as well. I'm not on a team, so I can't even fix that. Your opportunity types, your 4 types: listing, buyer, landlord, and tenant. And that will actually change what documents you are required to pick based on how the Market Center has it picked up or set up. So I know some of you are with Stamford, some of you are with Ridgefield. So it will change depending on what your office has and requires in those fields. So when I show you the document section, it may look a little bit different. And then that's a better question for your either your MCA or your assistant MCA, depending on which office you're in. So I'm going to pick listing, and then client, I'm just going to pick, I'll pick my brother just for fun, David McHugh. Okay. And so it automatically names the opportunity name, and then it puts the person's name and what type it put in there. You can put a co-seller, and what it actually does is, you see, if you have contacts linked together in opportunities as related, it will give those options first, but you can actually choose anything if you search. So I can say Gigi McHugh, that's my niece, and pick that as the co-seller instead. But just so you're aware,
like
it gives you the, yeah. So if you have somebody linked as a spouse, it will have those at the top of the list, but if not, you can actually search. So that's actually a really cool updated feature that they didn't have before. More often than not, the co-seller is going to be the spouse, although that might be different depending on maybe it's an investment or something else. So just so you're aware, related contacts do show up at the top. Custom tags, this is if you classify your opportunities in a certain way. These are different than opportunity tags. These are just custom tags for your opportunities. So if you have a certain type of opportunity that you ever want to sort by, investor is a good one, whatever. So we're going to put that in there. You pick your commission rate, your opportunity phase. I'm going to say it's 3%. It can be whatever you want, whatever you charge. Cultivate and opportunity stage, or sorry, opportunity phase and stage. Your phases, you can pick from cultivate, appointment, or active, and your stages are all custom. So this is whatever you have set up. So I'm going to click active, and I'm going to say it's a due diligence phase, because that's something I do. I'll hit create. Now, we're not going to worry too much about this part. You guys should know how to do this, but that's not the main point of the class. So we're jumping into the document section. If you have any questions on how to set up an opportunity, I'll address those at the end of class, but we're going to jump into the documents section. So once you hit create opportunity, you should get this page. Does everybody see or know how to get to this page? If anybody has any issues, let me know.
Yes.
Yes, we're good?
Mm-hmm.
We're good.
Okay. So from here, we're going to click on the document section. Sorry, I put candy in my mouth. So what does everybody see here? If you're in Ridgefield, I know it's going to say pick checklist type.
Yes.
Stanford, do you see the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that your office has set up different types of checklists. So if you click on the drop down, it will show you what they are. Now, we'll only show you the checklist type for the type you have, so listings. So for Ridgefield, we have Connecticut listings and New York listings that you can pick from right now. We may add additional ones in the future, so don't be surprised if there's something else. Stamford, you may see more. I don't know how they have that set up, but for Ridgefield, you can just pick residential or Connecticut residential or New York residential. What do you see, Stanford?
Both.
You see, do you see a similar thing?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to click Connecticut listing, and what it's going to do is it's going to pull up think of this as a checklist. These are the documents that are needed, and it tells you whether or not they are required, whether they're optional, or whether they're optional based on something else. So if you look here, Again, Stanford, you may be a little different. Ridgefield, we have the transaction checklist, which is optional. Agency disclosure, exclusive right to sell, all of these things. So if I click on, I have a couple things I can click on from here. The first is transaction check, the actual link here. So you see transaction checklist, agency disclosure. You see how that's a link? If you click on this, it's going to give you a blank version of this. Now understand that this is not a signable version or a fill out version. This is just a blank version so you know what you're looking at. If you need this document, you could always download it from here and use it anywhere else. So if you use DocuSign and it's not in DocuSign, you can actually move it into DocuSign by downloading it and uploading it here, just so you're aware that is an option. So these are all the documents that you need to complete the transaction and based on whether it's required or optional in there. So do you guys understand that? Do you have any questions on this?
So we can download it from there, and then we have to upload it into DocuSign.
Yeah.
But how do we do that? Because it looks like my DocuSign that's attached to my command doesn't work. So what am I doing wrong?
That was such a wide thing. What do you mean but doesn't work?
Okay. Yesterday, I tried to go in with the steps that it said here, do Command MC settings, and I clicked on it. It didn't give me what it should have given me to proceed.
Barbara, let's do a download on the side on that, because that's a little too far off topic. But
Okay.
I will, yeah. So let's pulling it back in. These are all blank versions of those documents. Okay. Now, once you have a signed version, you can add the file over here. We'll get to that in a minute. But if you look under here, you see how where I picked the checklist, it says listed under contract and closed. Every single thing has something like that. So listed, or for buyers, it's called consultation, because that's your consultation period. Under contract and closed. And so your office may require different things, but they're different items that are required for each stage of the transaction. So I'm going to click closed. And again, yours may be different. Now, if you have a document you want uploaded that isn't in this list, you can always click add an item. And then you have the ability to add any document, even if it's not required or in the office list. So an example might be, and again, I don't see it here, maybe you get the attorney contract, or maybe you get a copy of the HUD at closing, right? Some of us get that. Not everybody does on those things. You can upload them and put them in here. And again, if the office is asking for something that you don't, that is not in the list, this is how you would add that document here by going through that. So you would name the document, you would select the type, any additional notes, and whether you do it from manual or custom folder is where you could pull it from. Now there is a third spot you can pull documents from, and that's actually from DocuSign, but you need to connect that first, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But just understand that you will also have the ability to pull in from DocuSign as well, anytime as long as you've connected it. So now
which option is from like a Finder, like something that you've already downloaded from like your email or something, if you're adding that?
Great question. So now, and I'll get there one second. So anywhere there's add item or add file, you're going to see the same things. So I'm going to click add item. Manual is from Finder. So you see drag and drop or browse your files. Once you click browse, it's going to pull up your ability to upload those files. Okay?
Okay.
So the same thing happens in the add file. You see drag and drop. If you click browse, it allows you to pull from Finder or Windows. Great question. Who asked that? I didn't see your name pop up.
Lydia.
Lydia, great question.
Thank you. And so I guess just a little aside, where would you house documents like, let's say, a survey that you want to be part of the record, but doesn't necessarily have to go to the MCA?
That's a great question. So in the side here, you can do custom folders. And if you add a new custom folder, you can put that in here. Now you're gonna have to do this for every transaction. This isn't something you can template yet, but you can say in folder name, additional client information. And I create that folder. And now I'm gonna have that custom folder in there where I can add any documents that I want for whatever reason.
Great. And where
Does that make sense?
yes, where does that reside? Like, let's say later on, a year later or something, I want to find it. Where would I find, where was
Yeah,
would
so
that be?
that's always going to be in the opportunity. So if you find that opportunity and click on documents, it's always going to exist under, see, these are your main documents here, then your custom documents are down here. And that's where
Okay.
you would find them.
Thank you.
Yep. So going back to your documents here, again, you're going to add them. Now, if you want to attach multiple files at once, so you want to upload things, if you click on attach multiple files, it will allow you to drag and drop each of the files from each section from whether you want the if you have them on your hard drive. Now, you have to choose whether it's manual, custom, or from DocuSign here. So it's basically you can pull them all in at once, but it's got to be from one source. So the most you'll have to do it is 3 times if you have them in 3 different places. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay, great. And again, it's the same process. You just click, you select the document manual, you add it, and then you click attach, and it attaches them all at once. So
Joe.
moving on, if you want,
Joe, I have
Yep.
the same question Barbara does, because I have loops in the process and I just want to bring over the documents, and I just tried it and it's not letting me bring anything over. So my concern is,
so you're gonna have to,
well, my concern is
Yep.
that the dot loop's going to get turned off and I'm going to have to recreate this whole thing, but I'm in the middle of transactions. So there's got to be a way to fix this.
yeah, so my understanding, and you will have to talk to .loop support on this, is you will still have access to all your old .loop documents. They're not just going to disappear, right? They're still going to go away, but you may only have read only. So if you need to do new files, you're going to have to do them in DocuSign, but all old files you'll still have access to. So you're going to have time to download them and upload them again, but if you want to create anything new, you're not going to be able to do that in .loop.
Is that forever, Joe?
That is a better question for Deb Linky or your MCA or .loop. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Forever is a very, very long time.
Yes, it is.
So Joe,
now-
the source of the documents, when I click .loop and I have .loop linked in my settings to, as one of the apps or whatever, and it
Yeah.
says, please try to upload your .loop document again, please try to upload your document again. It's coming up with an error. That's normal at this point. It's not communicating properly. Is that correct? Or?
Can you send me that screenshot? I'm not really sure what error you're looking at. I know that if you have, and I'm going to take a step here. If you have .loop connected, you would have had to have a started the loop in here for it to connect properly. So again, I want everybody to take a step back. What I'm about to show you is not the solution for importing old .loop documents. Okay. So under this start a transaction, if you click the down arrow, you can pick .loop. In this instance, this creates a new loop. So if you have loops in .loop, you can't pull it in from that. The other thing that it does is you can never switch to DocuSign. So moving forward in this particular opportunity. So moving forward, when .loop shuts down, you don't have the ability to say, oh, now I want to do DocuSign. So if this is a new transaction moving forward, you're always going to want to click just start transaction and do DocuSign you're never going to want to do .loop in this instance. If you have a transaction that's already connected with .loop and there's an error, that I don't know the answer to that. That's a better question for probably either Keller Williams support or the RTT would probably be able to answer that question. Stephen Gendel has a support line that he could probably get it answered faster than I could.
Okay.
So now I'm going to click Start Transaction real quick, and I'm going to click DocuSign. And what this is going to do is this is actually going to create a DocuSign room for this transaction. Now, if you log into DocuSign and you create a room, the same as how we talked with .loop, you cannot go retroactively and connect those. So you're always going to want to create the room through the opportunity. Let's hope it's spinning. Give me a minute, guys.
So Joe,
Yeah.
I have a transaction in the opportunity that died. But I
Okay.
still have that listing. Now, I put it back to active, but it's still giving me like a closing date and stuff like that. How do I get rid of that and start a new transaction? Or can I still work off of that opportunity?
Yes, you do want to work off of that opportunity. Let's give me 1 minute to get through documents. We'll cover that at the end of class.
Great.
Okay.
I'll stay late.
You'll stay late.
Yeah.
Like normal, like we were in the office. So it will ask you to log in, but you see it creates this DocuSign room now. So you see it has the same name, it has an ID, it has all of that. So once that's created, if we go back to command, now if I click add file or add item, any of those things before, if I click it, now I have the ability to pull from DocuSign. And so anytime I've created a document in DocuSign that has been signed and worked with, I can now grab that file by looking here, okay? Now, this is not showing anything because I haven't put a document in there, but as you use DocuSign and as you work with DocuSign, the files will start showing up and you can now import them. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna grab that file and it's gonna associate it with this document here. So when you submit it, it's now connected. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I needed to know.
Now, what you can't do is you can't push documents from here into DocuSign. That's not an option. You can just pull from DocuSign, okay? So just
Okay.
be aware of that. Now, a couple of things. Now, Barbara did ask, well, what if I need a clean slate? Now, there are two parts to this. One is the dates, which we'll cover after this. The first is the document. So let's say you have a transaction that falls through. So here I am, and I have all these under contract documents here. And now I need a clean slate because this is the pre-approval and this is the signed offer for the last thing. What you do is up here under contract, you click on this and you say add a version. And now what you can do, and you can name it anything you want, you add a new version of those documents. So instead of creating a whole new opportunity where now I have to start all over again and put that information in again, I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to call this. And so here's the thing, whenever you have an accepted offer, I would recommend doing this. So let's say I have with Barbara, I have, what I do is I name them the agent name and then the buyer name, right? So let's say it's Barbara Asif and she brought the Smiths, right? So I'm going to call this version Agent Asif Smith, okay? So that way I know which one it was. And now when I click create new version, this is the version. And if this falls through, I can go here and I can add a new version and I can call this version, let's say Randy brought it, so I'm going to call it Lynch Jones. And now I create a new version. And so all of this historical information is saved as to what the offers are and all the things. So if it ever comes up again where they say, oh, hey, I need a copy of that document or whatever, if it comes back, you will now have all these versions with those. And it's going to keep the latest version up there so the newest one will always load in there, but you can always go and switch back to this if I want to see what that is. Now, here's what it won't do. It will not create a new room. So all the old documents are going to be in the room. So just be aware that the documents will start piling up in DocuSign, but that's okay because those are all the documents associated for this listing. So you're going to want that. But from an organizational standpoint for what you're going to put and send to Deb Linke or Lisa Katz, you're going to start pulling all those into this version. Now, once you have stuff in there, you'll be able to click submit to MC, which actually sends it now. And I can't click this because I don't have documents in here. But if I click submit to MC, it's going to send it to the MCA. And so they'll be able to review it. Now, the last thing I want you guys to, yep, go ahead.
So just to clarify, I just want to make sure I understood what you just said here. You're saying that when you have multiple offers, you have to create different versions of the offer, and then, but all of the old documents, meaning all the additional documents that were already in the room are there, and then the new versions go in addition to that, so that when you pull those, let's assume everything is signed and everything, when you pull that from the room, you're pulling actually the latest, like you have to select which latest ones that you want to pull that in to send to Lisa.
Yeah, most often, like you're not going to have anything in the actual DocuSign room unless it's signed. So if you have multiple offers, you probably won't have every single offer from every single agent in DocuSign, right? Because it will only go to DocuSign when you want your seller to sign it or your buyer to sign it, right? So from that standpoint, you're probably not going to have that. But from a multiple offer, meaning you had one and it fell off and one and it fell off, yes, when you click add file, you're going to see the different signatures, and you have to grab the latest one from DocuSign. And that depends on how you name them. So name them something unique every time, like name the document offer from this person or offer from that person, because that will actually make it easier for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And some of this you're going to have to, like, watching and doing is very different. But understand that we're also, understand that we also, this is not a DocuSign class specifically. So we'll have additional classes on DocuSign. This is really just the document section. DocuSign is a whole other beast, right? It's a class on its own. Guys, I'm going to mute you all because there's some feedback. But if you need to talk, just unmute yourself and then
Thank you.
come on, because someone commented that there's been some feedback.
Joe, would you be able to? Would you be able to really quick, and if it's too difficult, I don't want to mess other people up, but I must have missed something in the beginning when, in order to get in Command all these documents to show up, you went through selecting your office to get them to show up here, right? Did you do something about selecting Ridgefield and stuff?
No, so to show up here, you just create the opportunity. And then when you're in there, you see this where mine says CT. Well, okay, so you create the opportunity. I'm assuming you know how to do that. Once you create the opportunity, you're on this screen. If you click on the Documents tab, and then it'll say choose a checklist type is probably what it says for you. Under this dropdown, you can choose what type of checklist it is based on what your office has set up. So for us, it's residential and Connecticut listing and New York listing. And that should be the same. Once you click that, the checklist of documents will show up that you can choose from. So if it's something different, I'm going to have to look at your screen. So we'll do that when we're done with the main part of the class. But that should get you to seeing these in there. Now, I just want to go back 1 second. I'm not sure who asked a question about multiple versions. And so I wanted to take a step back and say, I would not create multiple versions here necessarily when you have multiple offers coming in, because it could get a little messy. I would create custom folders for each of those offers and then only pull them into one of these over here when you've actually have a final accepted offer that goes under contract. And the reason being is it will just mess everything up and make it sloppy if you have too many versions here for multiple offers. But if you go in here and you create a custom folder for each of the offers that come in a multiple offer situation, then let's call this the ASIF Smith offer here. If I create all these and I pull in the documents I need for the offer, then when I just choose that offer, when the seller chooses that offer, if I attach the multiple files, I can choose to pull them in from the custom folder and pull in from the ASIF Smith file. Does that make sense, guys? So what you're doing is you're organizing all of the stuff over here and then pulling it in when you're ready to actually put it under agreement. And
Hey,
again,
Joe.
that's a preference of mine. I'm just recommending that. Yes, Barbara.
Joe, do you have this in writing, as I've asked before, so I can go step by step? Because my transactions are never getting out of dotloop at this point. Never. Never.
Yeah. I will get you a step-by-step on how to use this. It might be a little bit different than kind of how we went over in class, because a step-by-step doesn't account for all the scenarios that we've discussed here, but yes, I can get you a step-by-step on the process, and I will get that to you.
So,
I'll have them send out an email later today.
Joe,
That would be wonderful. Thank you,
Yes.
Joe.
so would your suggestion be if we have many transactions residing in dotloop, which we do,
Yes.
starting to bring those documents over to command, number one, and just add them to the list of documents that are in here so that it's residing now in command?
That would, I mean, for anything that you want to be able to continue to track in command, yes. So anything that is active, anything new, you should just be starting here, right? So that should be fine. Anything that is currently active or pending, I would start bringing those over as well, so you have them in here. You know, like I said, there is the import, but there have been I've gotten mixed results on the import. But so otherwise, just download the documents, and you should do it one by one, and then upload them using the multiple upload file. And the reason I say one by one is if you download it all together, it comes as one big file with all the documents. That's how dotloop does it. So then if you try to upload it, it's going to be one big document here.
Exactly.
So you can download it one by one and then attach multiple files and upload them together. So if you download all your dotloop transactions, like each transaction into a folder for that transaction, organize it on your computer in those folders, and then attach multiple files and upload them, that would probably be your best, most efficient way to do it if you were to be doing it manually.
Okay. Thank
Right,
you.
Joe?
Now,
The right-hand
yeah.
side where it says sync transaction, what does that mean?
yes. So that sends information from the details page over to DocuSign. So if I click, I don't have a listing in here, so it's not gonna do anything. But if I click, let's see, sync transaction, it's gonna say the latest transaction information. So it should send that all over here. So if I click that, you see now it has the contact information is over here. If I had a listing, it would put the listing information. So if you want to be able to get the information from the documents into DocuSign so that you don't have to double enter, sync transaction is how you do that. It's just the information, it's not the documents. Again, because we talked about you could have documents for different offers and stuff, so you have to do that part manually.
All right, sounds good.
Last thing I want to show you as far as this goes is you have the one last thing here, which is this export selected documents button. So if I click export, oh, actually there are two things. Let me do this. So the first is if you, like, let's say you want to provide a package to your client of all the documents when the transaction's over, you can export them all at once. For maybe you need to get them all to the attorney, well, you can export them all at once. And so what you do is you do export. It has to be a zip file. You can put a password protection if you want, and then you can select which folders you want to export. It's not letting me because I don't actually have any documents here, but you can go in and you can select which documents are going to be exported and sent. So if you want to send it to the attorney or if you want to send it to your clients. I know some people will take all the documents, put it together, you know, put in a folder, and that's part of their closing package, right? So that would be how you could download them all at once. So there's that. The last thing, and I lied before where I said it was last, is this status over here. As you work with the MCA, your status is going to be updated. Now your status, these are what your statuses are. You have uploaded, approved, rejected, not uploaded, replaced, or missing. Now some of these, like uploaded, when you upload, it's going to change. Others of these, like approved, rejected, or missing, those are when the MCA goes and tags them as something. So if the MCA, if Lisa or Deb says, hey, you're missing some files in your fund, I'm not going to pay in your documents, you can't get paid until those are in there, you can go in here and you can click on filter by status missing, and it's now going to just show you the documents that were missing. Or maybe you're like, oh, I need to upload something. So if you click on the status not uploaded, it's going to take everything that was previously uploaded out of the list and just show you what's been uploaded or not uploaded in here. So you can filter by those things. So if you want to organize or look into that by a certain thing, that's how you would do that, by one of those tags. And that's, guys, that's basically the documents section. I know we're a little all over the place on this because it's not a straight line from start to finish when you're working with this. Because the documents section takes part of the entire of the all of the command process, and there are different moving parts. But this should get you to be able to get the documents uploaded and sent to Deb Linke or Lisa Katz. So now we'll open it up for any questions.
So Joe, on the left side where it says Connecticut listing residential, those items
Yeah.
underneath listed under contract and closed, those are the phases or stages?
So listed under contract, yeah, well, so listed under contract and closed, those are the three parts. So this is separate from the phases in your, you know, when you go through the phases in your opportunity phases. These are the three, you can call them stages or phases. I mean, at this point, I don't think they have a specific name, but these are the three different areas that you have in every single transaction that's relevant to the MCA, right? So when you list a property, the MCA needs your documents for the listing. When it goes under contract, the MCA needs that, and when it closes, there are documents that the MCA needs. So think about this as the part of the transaction that the MCA really gets involved in and needs documents for. And that's what these are.
Okay,
those
so
are different from the opportunity phases, which are for your tracking your sales pipeline.
okay, thank you for clarifying that. And so when I would come into this, I would do, I would have to click on each of them separately to do the appropriate documents that coincide with each of those. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. So, and a perfect example is, right, so you list the property. Well, the MCA doesn't want to see those listing documents mixed in with the offer documents. She wants to be able to make sure that your listing is put together properly and that the under agreement is put together properly. And so by organizing them separately, that just allows for the MCA to be able to process more documents quickly which allows the office to be in compliance and allows you to get paid faster.
Okay, so
That
I would
answer your
select
question?
listed first. I would select the listed first, go through all of the documents that I need to do for listed. Then I would go back
Yep.
and select the second item under contract and go through that, what I need
Yep.
to upload, and then the same for the closed. Is that correct?
Yep. And yes, and the reality is your listed should be done when you first list the property. Under contract is when it goes under agreement, and obviously closed is when it closes. So you'll probably be doing these at different times, but yes, that's you are correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, Joe, does an
Any other?
opportunity,
Yes.
does an opportunity go away? Like before, we were able to archive an one of our loops. Can we do that?
Great
here?
question. So, yes. So before we get off documents, because that's off documents, I will answer that question. Does anybody have any document-specific questions? Otherwise, we'll move on to more general opportunity questions.
I do, Joe. Green sheets, are they
Yes.
included in this or are they separate still?
That's a great question. You can do them through here. You will have to talk to your MCA as to whether or not they are accepting that. I did. Who asked that question?
Barbara Boffman.
Oh, Barbara. I don't know if Deb is doing that. So here, let me show you real quick where that is. And that's actually
Okay.
not a documents question. So I'm taking that as we're moving officially off documents. I'll answer that question, and then Barbara, if I'll go back and answer
Okay.
yours. If you see here, there's the commission section and it's gray. The reason for that is this will not light up until you have an accepted offer on a property. You do that under the offers tab, and I'm not going to walk you through how to do that fully, but if you add a new offer and you put it in there, you can put all the information on the property. You can put the closing date, you put all of that stuff. Actually, so if I click create offer, you're going to go through the offer details, the parties, the terms, and then agent analysis. And that is more for you will be able to send these out to your client as you do that. Once you go through this and you actually accept the offer, there's a button that says accept offer, your commissions tab will light up based on all the information you put in here, okay? And then you will be able to submit your green sheet, which is not going to call the green sheet anymore, it's called commissions, right through here. And so now they may be changing that location a little bit, but the idea is, yes, you're going to be able to do all of your commissions right in here. But you need to have an accepted offer through this process, and that's just a way of documenting it so that the commissions tab will light up and you'll be able to actually submit your commissions that way. And it looks very similar to a green sheet. There's not much different as far as that's concerned.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so Barbara, going back to yours, I'm going to click on this. And now in your thing, now your closed is only going to show about 30 days worth of closed transactions. If you want to go back further, if you click on all opportunities, you see up on the top of the screen, and this is the question for seeing all your past transactions. If you
Okay.
click on all opportunities, you should be able to filter not just by, see, I can include my archived opportunities as well. So I can actually look at all of the opportunities, including my archived opportunities. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yep.
Now, if you want to archive an opportunity, and I'll do this, I'll show you this because I don't want to keep this opportunity that I had. I'm going to go under listings. Here's whoops, not under listings. Here we go. I have this listing that I created, okay? Now, there are two things. There's archiving an opportunity, and then there's a lost opportunity. So the difference is if you have a buyer and you work with them and you get them all the way to closing, even if you have a buyer that you maybe never signed, I would put those as a lost opportunity. And the reason why I would do that is it tracks your conversion rates, and it's going to learn how you convert from cultivate to appointment or cultivate to active, right? It's going to help you learn. And by putting it as a lost opportunity, it says, okay, this was an opportunity that I had the potential to have, but now I no longer have it, okay? And so in order to do that, you click on the listing or the buyer, and you click on this lost opportunity button. And once you click on that, it's going to say, please describe why this opportunity was lost. And then that loses it that way. That is different than, let's say you create 2 listings. Like, let's say you had a listing and you forgot you entered it, so you enter it again. Then what you're going to do is you're going to archive it. And so for that, you click on this ellipses and you click archive opportunity, and that does not affect your conversion rates, because it's basically saying, okay, that opportunity didn't ever, it was never really an opportunity to begin with. I would only use this if you accidentally put something in, because otherwise it's going to skew your conversion numbers, which, yeah, it might make you feel better because your conversions are better, but it's not going to give you the real picture.
So
I'm going to click archive opportunity because this is a teaching class, so I don't want this to count towards my numbers.
okay, so if I mean, our buyers backed out, we didn't close, I'll put it under lost. Does that get rid of the listing? Do I have to put it in as another listing for my client?
So I would just remove the offer. That's not a lost opportunity, because the opportunity for you is the listing itself. You may have lost the buyer, but you didn't lose the opportunity. Whereas if you have a buyer that says, not that a buyer would say this to you, but if you have a buyer that says, Barbara Asif, I hate you, I've never liked you, I never want to work with you, that would be a lost opportunity, right?
That would be a lot worse than a lost opportunity.
Well, but what I'm saying is,
So
is
how
there's
do I-
no
how do
chance
I
of
get
that
rid of-
person coming
How
back.
do I get rid of that offer?
You just click lost opportunity and it goes away. It goes as a lost opportunity.
Okay, but the listing will still be there.
Well, no. Okay, so you're okay. I see what you're saying. You would have logged that as an offer in here, so you can actually, it'll say change. I forget what it says. It says change offer or whatever,
okay.
and you can just say the offer was lost.
Okay, great.
And then remember, in the documents section,
Yeah.
you can go and you can create a new version, so
Yep.
and that's how you would represent that. So the listing itself, the opportunity that's the listing will still be there, but the offer that's on it will no longer be there.
Oh, perfect. Got it.
So I still don't understand all the many loops that we have in .loop. How are we saving those so we can refer to them if we want?
So they're either existing in .loop, and they will exist in .loop, I believe, in perpetuity, or you're pulling those documents into here if you still need to work on them. So if they're active, pending, or whatever, you would pull them in and create an opportunity in here. You'd have to do it manually. Now, okay, I'm going to take time out here. If you've connected .loop, you can do this import over here. I have seen mixed results with this, which is why I'm not recommending it per se. I think manual is better.
But you don't want us to bring over the whole file. You said it'll bring it over as a big bunch. You want us to do, with current loops, you want us to bring them over one by one, each document?
Well, download each document and then you could mass upload them.
Good thing you can't see this
So-
thing on the screen.
Your face? Are you making faces at me?
I'm making faces, yes.
So this import thing, when you click import, if you were to do this, let's give it a shot. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on this. So if you have this thing, this is one way to do this. Now, everybody, I'm going to say, if you, there's a tech level that I don't want you to feel lost here. So we're done with the main part of the class. If you have no interest in this, leave. I don't want to confuse you. Okay? Worry. So you can click here and you can search for your loops. Now it's going to show all of them. I'm going to click the first one because this is the one I want to pull in, and you import selected, and let's see what happens. We're learning together, guys. Okay, so it says one loop has fields that need to be manually reviewed. And so what it's saying is, okay, it's missing information, so I'm going to review it now. Opportunity type, it's a listing. Seller, it's not letting me do this. Oh, they're not on Taken Point Drive. This was 20. You have to know the address. So I think this was 20 Blackberry. So you need to go in here, and this is Connecticut. It's not letting me do this. So you see it's being buggy. This is how this import works. Oh, that's why it wasn't working. 068. Damn it. All right, it's not working. Okay, you go in, you fill that out. Once you do that, it will import the documents.
All of the documents?
Let's,
I mean, can you import not all of them?
it's not no, it would be everything that's in that particular loop.
Okay,
But
so
it's
you
not
can't
letting
go
me- it's
folder by
not-
folder.
It's not letting me pick their names. I click view on dot loop. It's going to make me sign in. Again, Lori,
That's what it did to
You'd
me.
have to
It
talk to
wanted me to
support.
sign in.
yeah.
Exactly what it did
But
to me.
see this, it's not letting me pick the seller, which is the problem. So I don't know what's wrong here. But this is how, if you don't want to go through the process of importing or manually doing it, this is how you would do it. But I would reach out to support or the RTT and say, hey, this is not working, and have them tell you what's wrong, because I don't know what's going on here. This is how you would pull that in. Now, if you want to pull the loops in without having to download and upload again, it doesn't seem to be working the way it should. So you have to talk to support about that. I have a chat here. How do you add a co-broke to the DocuSign opportunity? So let's see, I don't have DocuSign open. Let me click on this. So if we're in DocuSign, I'm assuming you know how to get to DocuSign at this point for this part, Randy. But I'm going to click go to transaction. If you want the co-broke to sign, you do that. You go to people and you add the co-broke here. So you can invite somebody and then you can select if they're represent the buyer, you say the buy side, you put in their email, you select the role, you say buyer's agent. Now, then if you want to send them something to sign, you add them to the envelope. And that's how you add them there. If you want to add them to the document, actually the transaction, so Deb Linky knows or whatever, that's done in offers, but that's independent of the DocuSign. Any other questions? We're just about out of time. We went a little off the rails at the end, and I apologize to anybody who that was.
One more thing, Joe, while we're under documents, go to DocuSign.
Okay. You're tricking me into doing a DocuSign class, Barbara.
No, I just want to know how to get in there how to pull in those documents.
Oh, so if I click go to transaction, I click on that, it'll bring me over there. If I want to pull this in, so let's say, see this questionnaire, I did this, I click add a file, and I grab it from DocuSign.
Okay.
Oh, I got to see which one it is. It is the health questionnaire. So I see how it's important to know which one it is. So it's PDF 7 signed. So if I click PDF 7 signed and click assign, now I click on this. That's the thing in
So
there.
in my head, I had upload, download, upload to DocuSign, and then put them over here in documents.
Yeah. But
That's
again,
it?
this is not a DocuSign class. So as far as getting their signatures in there, that's a separate class.
That's okay. As long as I know how to do that, I'm good.
All right, and
Okay.
then let me
Yeah.
know when I can ask a non-document question. Well, a document question. This is document, but it's like Barbara said, it's off topic.
That's fine. I got 2 more minutes. So
On
shoot.
the reverse, basically, that's what I was wondering. On the reverse, like I'm in DocuSign now, and the files that I uploaded through all the instructions we just went through that whole class aren't showing in DocuSign, but they're in Command.
Right. So if you need something to be signed, you have to put it into DocuSign first, right? So that is the piece there. So
So those
If you
instructions
don't
were
upload a
for
doc-
already signed stuff.
yes, if you want to pull it from DocuSign, you click Add File and pull it in there. If you want to get it into DocuSign, then you upload it to DocuSign and then pull it into Command. That's the process there.
When's the
Now,
DocuSign
I do-
class?
Yeah, how do you get into
When's
Doc?
the DocuSign class, Joe? We need like a lot of them, lots.
I'll let me find out. I will get you an answer on that. I don't know. Dan asked me to teach documents in Command, so I'm teaching documents in Command. Barbara, I will answer, and this will be the last thing I answer. You did ask, can I email documents into here like I was able to in Dotloop, right?
Yes.
You can't email them into Command, but you can email them into DocuSign. And so it's a little bit different. What you do is, and again, this is going to be, if you're easily confused, tech is not your thing, cover your ears and go la, 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 la. So Lori, go la, 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 la. Under your settings, if I click on this and I go to my manage profile, everybody has a DocuSign email address, okay? Give it a minute.
Oh, okay.
Did yours pop up, Barb?
I'm not doing it. I'm just listening to you.
Oh, okay.
But
You made it sound
I
like
know
you were.
I am connected to DocuSign.
Okay, this is taking a while to load. I don't know what's up, but everybody has a DocuSign email address. What you do is if you
Okay.
forward PDF documents to that email address, in order to get them in a room, you see this ID number?
Yes.
That needs to be the subject line of the email.
Oh, okay.
So if you make this ID the subject of the email, it will put, hold on, I don't know where to pull up not doing it. Might be under preferences. So if I email to, and I think it's just your first name, last name I want to find it for you so you can see.
Yeah, I want to play with this.
Lori, email Dan and ask for
I'm doing it
DocuSign
already.
classes to be put on the calendar.
I'm doing it already.
I need that class, Laura.
I know I'm okay with DocuSign. Jen and Jackie in Stanford are the bomb at DocuSign. They've been doing it longer than I have. They're really good at it. So Lori, I don't know that my internet decided to die right now. It's not loading this. It's being really slow. But I believe it's your preferences, you'll have an email address for your DocuSign. Just make the subject of it. See, it says right here, copy and paste this room ID number into your email subject in order to send documents into this room. So as
Okay.
long as you have that room ID number in the email, it's going to put the documents right in here. So then you can do that.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
I am 2 minutes over, guys. I actually have another call I have to be on, so I got to go.
All right.
If you have any
Thanks,
additional
Joe.
questions, shoot me an email, and I will send the step-by-step instructions when I have a moment. I will do that for you, Lori.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Stay well.
thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.